Hi, I'm Dana.
And I'm Ashley, and this is A Dash of PT. So earlier this week, I had posted a blog about marathon burnout, and we received some questions, and then Dana had some questions of her own, and so we just want to have an open discussion today about those. And this video will be posted, so you can always go back to it, watch it, and then you can post any other additional questions, comments, or discussion items. So Dana, fire away.
Yeah, so I do not run. I don't train for marathons, but I read your blog and I thought it was very interesting because I do understand burnout.
Yes.
So do you find that the concept of marathon burnout and the same principles that we burn out in other aspects of our lives, does that pertain to marathon training as well?
Yes. So the marathon burnout was more because we're getting close to Chicago, which is always a big race for a lot of people. But I really feel like it could apply to really any race and different aspects of life. So, and it's gonna manifest in different ways. So I think, even if someone's training for their first half marathon, 10K, 5K, or even if they're just starting a running program, I feel like burnout can happen at any time with that. And I also feel like it applies just to life in general. So I think at times people have always been dealt different things that they can juggle. So maybe it's a switch in a job, maybe you had your first child, maybe you're moving, maybe your spouse or your partner is switching jobs and you're having to do a little bit more at home. All of those things can be stressors and can contribute to burnout. And so I think a lot of the takeaways in the blog I wrote can be applied just to everyday life, not just running.
Sure. I think that's great.
Yeah.
So I, like you, I think I put myself more in the type A personality category, and I like to schedule. Hi, Denise, who's watching. But I like to put myself in that type A category, and I like to have things planned ahead.
Sure.
And you addressed that a little bit in the blog. My question is, do you find when you're scheduling that, if you already add that variety to your training program, do you see a decrease in burnout overall?
Yeah. So I think, first of all, having awareness is key. So being able to acknowledge that, why am I feeling so tired? Am I burned out? Hi, Denise.
Hi, Denise.
Am I experiencing burnout? Why am I feeling sluggish? Why am I dreading all of my runs? So I think first the awareness is key, and then spending some time reflecting on just your personality type. So I really feel like, yes, I'm type A, but I feel like, okay, so say someone is a little bit more laid back with their training, which works for them, but then they start experiencing some burnout. So maybe they'd actually benefit from the other extreme, which is having set runs or days when they're doing their set exercises. So every Monday, Tuesday morning at 5 a.m., I'm going to get my run in, just so that way they get onto a better schedule. And then I think, if you have experienced burnout with exercising and running, maybe, and you need variety, well then just go into it like you had mentioned, having that. So, a lot of training plans will have runners running 4 to 6 times a week with one rest day. Myself, I changed that to 4 when I had a child because that wasn't even feasible for me to do more. And so really having to reevaluate your training plan and knowing that, yes, that's an ideal, but it doesn't mean it has to be your ideal. And if you love yoga, well then maybe you look at your training plan and you replace one of your runs each week with yoga for an hour. So just being a little bit flexible with your own schedule.
That's a good point, and I was going to ask you about that as well. Do you think cross-training, in a way, and adding in different types of workouts then benefits not only your marathon training itself, but kind of tampering down that burnout level also?
Yes, because I would say the majority of runners that I've treated before, it's usually they come in when it's getting close to the race because they have pushed it a little bit too much. So they've been so focused on getting every single run in and following the plan to a T that they've slacked a little bit on their strengthening and their stretching program. So now they have this injury, they're a month out from their big race. And so I think that's why I think you need to be a little flexible with looking at the training plan, because ultimately you need to cater it towards what's going to work best for your body.
That's great. Yeah. I think also, and I think this ties into a lot of people that we see, not necessarily our runners and our marathon trainers, but I find it very important sometimes too to address sleep habits and eating habits. Does that tie into this whole marathon burnout also?
Yes. So I think a lot of times again, getting wrapped up on getting the runs, is that you start doing these longer and longer runs, and you don't always have your nutrition follow suit. So you aren't eating or hydrating properly, or getting enough electrolytes, or maybe even planning for the day if it's a really hot, humid day. And instead you're really focused on just getting out there and running. And this is a mistake I've made as well. And so I think you start to get a little discouraged because your runs aren't as easy and you're feeling really fatigued. And what you don't realize is that you also need to start increasing the amount of calories, carbs, water, electrolytes, whatever has worked for you well in the past in regards to your nutrition. You need to increase that to also correspond with the level of activity that your body is being put through. And so then you start to feel a little discouraged about how tired you've been feeling, whether it's in the run or after the run. And then that's just going to contribute to kind of that feeling of discouragement and being a little less motivated and excited about your runs each week. Yeah.
I think this is so great, not just for our runners, but for really everybody. This is, I mean, these are principles that I can apply, and I'm still not running. So
yeah, I mean, it's definitely a topic that really interests me, especially pulling in some of the nutrition. So, you know, I'm happy to discuss this more. And if anyone has, you know, their own experiences with this, or would want to have more discussion about this, we're definitely open to that. So feel free to reach out to us directly, or just, you know, comment in the comment box.
Absolutely. We love hearing from you guys.
Yeah. Well, thank you for all the questions.
Well, thank you for all your answers. It was great.
Yeah. All right. Everyone signing off, and then Dana will be back in 2 weeks. So she'll be kind of leading charge. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, we're going to be bringing up the topic of concussion. So start thinking ahead for that. Also, I just wanted to mention, too, since we're on here, that next week is National Balance Awareness Week, which is one of my favorite weeks of the year. Who isn't loving this week? But I'm going to be bringing up a lot of balance things next week that applies to everybody, runners included. I think that's important for every athlete and individual to address. So be on the lookout for that next week while Ashley is out of town.
Yes. Stay tuned.
Bye,
Have
everyone.
a great week. Bye-bye.